Well, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, Frankie's got the weather we got. Wait a minute. Well, whether it's cold, whether it's hot,
The Comedeorological Report.
Frankie's got the weather, whether or not. There it is.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome, or good morning, actually, Prince George, and good lunchtime for you, Winnipeg. You're listening to the Comedeorological Report. I'm Joey Only, here with Frankie MacDonald and our friend Joe Stover as well. You're listening to us on 88.7 CFUR in Prince George, and you're listening to us on 95.9 CKUW in Winnipeg, and we're talking the weather, and we're talking things like that. How you doing, Frankie MacDonald?
I'm doing great so far. It's going to rain in Sydney, Nova Scotia tomorrow, in Halifax, New Brunswick, in Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, all these places. It's going to bring lots of thunderstorms in Houston, Texas. It's going to bring a lot of fires and more hot weather in British Columbia, including Vancouver, Victoria, and Japan just got hit by a typhoon because Olympics are going on. They barely missed Tokyo, and typhoon season is going to kick up in a high gear at the end of August into September. That's when Atlantic hurricane season kicks up in a high gear in the end of August into September too. That's the peak of the hurricane season. September 10th. That's the dead center of the hurricane season, and it's going to bring lots of hot rain weather all across New Brunswick too.
September 10th is my daughter's birthday, and two people I work with today have the same birthday as well, I found out. So it's funny that you said September 10th. What about Europe, Frankie?
Over in Europe, it's going to get hot and cool weather fighting each other. So much fires going on in Russia. Burn a lot of trees in Siberia. They're going to Yakutsk and Magadan. Burn a lot of trees because so much fire is going on. It's a fire season, but the fire season is going to die down in second half of August. Then it'll be starting to get lots of rain in Yakutsk in September. Then it's going to change over to snow. Then it's going to turn extremely cold there in the fall and winter months over in Yakutsk.
What about the Mediterranean area of Europe?
Over the Mediterranean area, it's going to be really, really hot as well. It's so much sandstorms going on in the Sahara Desert in Africa. It's blowing all the sand all the way from Africa all the way to East Coast of the Southeastern United States and the Caribbean because it's so powerful there. Travel all dry, dusty air going all the way from Sahara Desert all the way to Caribbean, long distance. In Australia, it's been really cool in Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa had some snow.
What about the intertropical convergence zone? Is there lots of monsoons going on?
Lots of monsoons going on in Arizona and things like that. A lot of monsoon rains going on in India, Bangladesh, and all those places.
Right on. What about
and Thailand, including Bangkok, Thailand.
That's where I was going to go next. South Asia. How about South America, Frankie?
You'll be going there. You'll be going to Southeast Asia.
What's going on in South America this next week for weather?
A lot of rain going on in Venezuela. A lot of monsoon rains in Venezuela too.
What do you got for British Columbia? I've been working forest fires, so I've not been paying a whole lot of attention to the weather, although every day we get an incident action plan. It's called an IAP. And in the IAP is a detailed weather report of what we're going to expect every day. So the fire I've been on has been very quiet for the last couple weeks because there was so much rain in this part of BC. But what's happening now is the relative humidity is going down every day, little bit by little bit, and the temperature's coming up. So here in the Vanderhoof Fire Center, what we're seeing now is a push towards crossover conditions this weekend. So our fire is waking up. So what was one fire that was 21,000 hectares is now, maybe several thousand small fires. So that we have to go and attack each one individually and find them, right? So it's a difficult situation, and then when you don't have the resources to put to this fire the way that we might ordinarily have, right? So we're going to get 2 days off starting tomorrow night and then possibly sent right back to the same fire because crews are all timing out, and it's going to be a complete changeover of personnel. And having a few crews that know the land is important. But yes, and we're talking Sunday for some thunderstorm development as well. So, but southern BC is looking hot, right? So 39 degrees I'm seeing in places like Castlegar and whatnot coming this weekend. So I'm concerned for fire behavior in British Columbia. I think what I've been hearing for some of the people in places like the Sparks Lake fire is it's been so smoky that it's actually, blotted the sun out quite a bit and cooled things maybe cooler than they should have been, without all that smoke. And so I also got on the line here, Peter Galanko's just come on, our friend from Virginia Beach. And of course, I already mentioned Joe Stover, but of course, Brandon Houck, our radio weatherman, who gets up super early every morning. So we're always, always glad to have him show up for our show. How you doing there, Brandon?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I'm in a fire band right now, so it's great. Wonderful. And I'm leaving in a couple of days, yeah.
Where are you going to?
Southwestern Alberta, going to the mountains.
Nice. Going up Pinker Creek side, you mean Crow's Nest?
Yep, Crow's Nest Pass. Maybe might sneak into Waterton for a couple of days.
If you do, stop by that Twin Butte General Store and get yourself some of that great food that Phil and Jenny sell there. That's a secret little gem, the Twin Butte General Store. So talk to us about Alberta weather and what you've been seeing there this last week and looking forward. I really have no idea what's going on outside my little bubble of firefighting.
Yeah, well, this past week we've had some kind of rounds of smoke here and there, but that's about it. We've had really, today's been the hottest day in the last week. We've got up to about 35 degrees, and then we've been in state of the fire ban today. So no campfires, no fires, nothing except for propane or gas, and that's the only thing that we're allowed to use for the foreseeable future, at least. But we had a couple fires here in this area. Last Thursday we had that one there, Patricia there. That was a pretty big one. We had to get some water bombers in on that. And then on Tuesday, I had a close call over here. The power line decided to explode. We heard kind of a crack, pop, crackle, and then something, and the line came down over just about a block away from me here. And so we went over and took a look at taking a look at it, and it started a grass fire. And I decided to call in 911, and we had the fire truck come down the road in about, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes, and we got that fire put out, and basically the whole neighborhood came out to check it out because they were wondering why the fire truck came down the road, because you've never seen a fire truck come down the road here before, since we're kind of out in the countryside here. So yeah, so that was the situation Tuesday. We lost power, but we got the power back up. We got everything fixed up and got the fire put out just in time before it crossed the road, because we were lucky we had a very light wind too, because the wind was blowing east, and what was east across the road was a pile of hay bales, and if that ignited in the fire, that would have been pretty bad. So
it would have at least smoldered for a long time once it lit up. But of course, the big issue is wind blowing chunks of burning stuff across, and once you have something that big going, it's really easy to spread itself. That's the kind of thing we're seeing that happened on this fire. Is there's just burn patches in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Right. And then we came across one today that was like just super hot and in the middle of the forest, and trees all hung up everywhere. One poplar that was giant was just totally burnt out inside. So we got a faller to come and drop it. But he looked at that. He was like, I don't think I've ever done something like this before. And he's like, you better, he was just admitted, like, I think I'm going to call the other faller over to give me some advice. And I said, that's a really, I've fallen 20,000 trees, I bet. And I looked at that thing and I was like, no. But what you're saying too with how the grass fire started from that electrical line, that's the one thing we are seeing in fire behavior here already, is that fine fuel moisture code. And so that's up above 90. So it's we have seen the small fine fuels just erupt at times, right? So it's not the greenery is still pretty green right now, but as the coming days get hotter and hotter, that will change, right? So what else you got for us there, Brandon?
Oh, well, and then today we had another fire. That was on a truck started on fire on the highway, but luckily it was right on the when you travel down Trans-Canada Highway, you have kind of the middle part there where you have, so it was on that side of the road, so just that middle part caught fire, but it was all pavement around it, so it couldn't spread. So that was a good thing there. But so yeah, then that shut down the highway for a couple hours today, and then we had a little thunderstorm pop up.
When people hear human-caused fire, they automatically think campfire, but I mean, a lot of human-caused fires are not from cigarette butts or campfires. There's thunderstorms.
Yeah.
I once saw an 18-wheeler catch fire right in front of my eyes. I was coming back to Virginia Beach over the Virginia Beach Bridge Tunnel, and fortunately, the truck driver had made it off the tunnel, off the bridge, but the fire blazed all the way through under the truck. But I kept driving though. There was the driver was safe. He had already pulled over to the side of the road, and it turned out all right.
His brakes were probably too hot or something like that. That's the voice of
Yeah,
Peter
because
going
it was
in
like
Virginia Beach.
maybe the brakes or something, or it's a transmission fluid or something that was because it was like the whole underside of the truck burst into flames, and it was like, I was like, what the? I don't know.
Well, when you get hot enough weather too, it's the fire triangle is heat, fuel, and oxygen, right? So you get enough heat, and that's what we're seeing now is that these spots of the fire that have turned sort of underground are suddenly just popping up out of the ground again, and which is making it easier for us to find them all. But of course, that means there's a race against time going on as well. Two examples being, I grabbed this smoldering log yesterday, and we didn't have any. There's no water where I've been working on this fire like at all. We're up high in the hills, so one of the best things you can do is grab a burnt, smoldering thing and throw it in the black burnt area already. That way, it can't really go anywhere. And as I was carrying it, it just goes poof into like this big torch. And another thing we saw yesterday was a new fire across the lake from where we're working just popped up out of nowhere and started burning real hot. So that was the priority today. Half our crews went over there and dealt with that. And people, because the fire ban in the Prince George Fire Center got lifted this week, so people were automatically thinking like, oh, it must be from a campfire. But I'm pretty sure what happened was lightning struck there a week ago, and it just, the tree burns for a minute, but then the rain kind of puts it out, and then it just kind of sits there smoldering in the ground around, and then finally enough sunlight gets in there as has been happening the last couple of days, and that's all you need. So what's going on for thunderstorms there, Ben and Houck?
Yeah, we actually had a thunderstorm today after the fire. So actually, it was just to the north of us. It developed right along the Red Deer River near Finnegan and Jim area, just to the north of Brooks, and it dropped about I'd say about quarter-size hail. So that was pretty fun too. And then that storm kind of would just travel along the Red Deer River, then it died. So not a lot of energy for it, but it tried. It definitely sure showed some signs of strengthening as it moved its way towards the east there. So that was the thunderstorm today. We also had some more thunderstorms up by the northern part of the province, but a lot of the smoke kind of inhibiting the thunderstorm potential last couple of days. And I think we are at risk for more storms in the foothills tomorrow. And then next week, a big pattern change. Looks like we could be in for another week of fun weather.
Oh, good. Finally again. Have you been on the radio in Kelowna this week at all?
Oh, yes. I actually was there earlier this week, and I gave a little bit of good news on the potential rain this weekend.
All I'm seeing is heat, so talk to me what you're hearing.
Looks like Sunday to Monday, the latest GFS models hinting at 20 millimeters of rain.
Ooh.
In some areas in the BC interior there. So we'll be watching that very closely. It's still going to be hot, but we're going to get a round system coming in from Washington State, so that will finally produce a bit of rain. There will be some thunderstorms involved with it too, but there will be some torrential downpours. So I think at least for Kelowna and the Okanagan could at least get 5 to 10 millimeters of rain for next week. Not a lot, probably won't be enough to put out the fires, but it'll help a little bit.
What it will do is buy time, as this was the same with the fire I'm on right now, right? When the rain came, it sat everything down, and it bought time. And it's given us, 12, 13, 14 days to start getting ahead of it a little bit with what little resources we have on this fire, because there's just so many bigger ones that are more important near, how it is, right? Resources are stretched thin right now. We've had people from Alberta on our crews, are working next to us, Alberta wildfire crews, who were on this fire, looking towards Winnipeg and next week. Yeah,
Winnipeg will, I believe, will have some thunderstorms tomorrow for Friday, and then it's going to be hot in the next week as well. So not much in the way of weather going on there. It's pretty quiet. Quiet and smoky.
To start,
I was just gonna say, aside from the all the weather warnings that are out for special, or not weather warnings, but special air quality warnings that are basically covering the province. Absolutely. Like we're only being spared here in the Northeast just from where we are and where the wind's been blowing, but the rest of the province hasn't been so lucky, Brandon.
Well, I
Well,
bet,
and part of my making my way to Winnipeg in the discussion was, of course, to get right to you next, Joe Stover, and hear from you, how's things in Churchill, Manitoba, but also about that air quality and about you're not refueling airplanes during the show tonight, so
Yeah, don't have to fuel any planes tonight. I'm not on call. I was done as of the moment that you hit record for our show today. So yeah, so I'm in a happy mood. The last few shows we've done, I've been on call, so I've been kind of watching my phone while watching the screen too. So
Hey guys, yesterday it was first sunset in Norlisk, Russia in 68 days.
oh,
it's that time of year. Absolutely.
so the days are getting shorter than in Churchill as well, I suppose.
Well, yeah. So I was chatting with Frankie a little earlier today, and he had mentioned about the days getting shorter, and I said, yeah, well, because he had mentioned in Sydney that the days are getting shorter, and we're, of course, the more north you get, the more exponentially the rate of how shorter these days are going to get.
How
So,
fast
for
it
instance,
changes.
thank you. Yeah, exactly. My brain's just. Yeah. So last month during the solstice, the sun set at 10:31 p.m. and today it's set around 9:52. So it's definitely, as it gets closer to September and the fall equinox, it is going to be like a 6 to 7 minute difference between days of how less sunlight that we're going to get. So a lot of people aren't looking forward to it. I love it. I love the cold. I love the dark. Bring it on. I'm happy with it. But definitely, we've been spared. Like Brandon was saying about the smoke, we've been spared here in Northeast Manitoba for the last almost a week. Just with the way that the winds have been blowing. But yeah, definitely there's a bunch of fires that are raging on the east side of Lake Winnipeg. That's making everything terrible in Winnipeg.
It reports they had snowfall in southern Brazil.
Take me to Brazil. If there's wherever there's snow, Joe will go. That's all.
Southern Brazil had snowfall today.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely
I don't think it'll last.
that.
And Argentina had snow too.
Probably not going to last, but yeah. And as far as severe weather, I do have something, not severe weather, but relatively severe, I guess. I have something to report. 3 days ago, we had a good 2 rounds. We had 2 cells go right over us and brought rain, brought lightning, brought thunder, no hail, thankfully, but lots of wind, lots of rain. And it's just what we needed here. It's been so dry, and I'm looking at something right now, actually, as the time of this recording, which is Thursday night. There's a nice, pretty big cell that's north of us. It looks like it's going to miss us here in Churchill, but the next community up the Hudson Bay coast, which is Arviat, they are probably going to be getting a good amount of rain and thunder tonight, which the prairies doesn't look like they're getting, at least Saskatchewan, Manitoba tonight anyway.
How often do you get thunderstorms in Churchill?
I'd say probably on average we see maybe 5 or 6 that we can at least see, but ones that come right over us and actually level, rain and thunder and lightning, all that stuff, maybe 1 to 2, because that I know, because at the airport, whenever there's any lightning within 5 nautical miles, which is the Churchill control zone, all airport activities must cease. No planes landing, no planes taking off, no fueling. Yeah, so we actually had to implement that a couple days ago. I had a trainee with me, and we were filling our truck with fuel, and I kind of kept an eye on it. And we had to actually stop mid-load just for lightning. As soon as we saw it kind of where it landed, or where it struck rather, that was definitely enough. So it does have an impact on aviation, that's for sure. And not just for us on the ground, but I actually had last week I had a plane land. It diverted to Churchill. Actually, it was the right after our show was done last week. I got a phone call saying that a plane had to divert to Churchill because they'd been struck by lightning. They were on their way from Winnipeg to Baker Lake, Nunavut, and we're almost there when they got struck and they had to turn around and land in Churchill so that they could do all the checks to make sure that all the instrumentation was fine and run through all the checks there. Everything was okay, but precaution is precaution. If anything gets struck by lightning, especially in aircraft, yeah, you got to check that thing up, down, and sideways.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is. I mean, I've been lucky to be around aircraft a lot this last 10 days or so. And
did you get to go flying? Did you get to go flying?
I've been in the Bell 204 a bunch of times this week. Yeah, skipping into this deep fire spot. I mean, getting in the vintage 1965 Huey. I don't know if I got some videos up of it. Getting in the 1965 vintage Huey is pretty sweet. But what I've actually enjoyed even more is about 6 days ago, for the first time, maybe 5, I called in my first heli bomb. Right, we got a hot spot, and so that was super cool the first time. Like, you know, you're lining it up with the helicopter above you, and can you see me? Okay, I'm at your 10 o'clock. Yep, that's me. Is that you waving? Yes, that's me. Okay, where do you want it? I'm like, and then run like hell out of the way as he comes in nice and easy, and then just poof, he drops the big bladder, right? It just, when it hits the hot ash hole, it's just like poof, you know, shit flying.
That's
right?
So cool. That is so cool.
So this is as awesome as getting in the helicopter is. The one thing I don't like about the days that we've been on the heli flights is that you have to bring everything with you, which means once you get dropped off in the bush, you have everyone's carrying extra weight all day, right? We have our chainsaws with us, all our tools, fuel, a small shinny pump. And whereas the last 3 days I've been driving to another location and hiking up to where we had to go, which meant the truck was 500 meters away or less than a kilometer. So it's, you know, we could leave our lunches, we could leave this, only take what we need, move light. And so, I mean, on day 13 we're working our butts off, right? Like, I probably walked 120 kilometers this week, literally, you know, to just have a couple days without that weight on, but also calling in the bucket dumps. What seemed, it was so novel the first time, and now it's become just it's just part of my life as a crew leader now, right? So I get to be that guy.
You must be feeling it in your muscles and stuff like that, eh? Like, I mean, all this intense work that you're doing, you must feel like either A, $1 million, or B, like you're ready to sleep for 6 months.
I'm ready to sleep for a bit. I mean, first of all, you probably noticed me putting on lip chap as we've been here because my lips are hard and dry from sun and being in smoke and heat. I was putting on extra strength skin cream because my face feels dried right out. My skin's dry. I'm half sunburnt. I got scratches and cuts all over. I got these amazing bruises. When I got in the shower here tonight, the walls of the shower were black by the time I was done because all the charcoal was coming off. So I'm blowing black snot that's hard as hell out of my nose. So when I'm in the shower, I'm trying to get the hot water up my nostrils and try to loosen it up, you know, and you're coughing out big chunks of black stuff. And I've been bitten by a lot of bugs. I got blisters on my one toe forming that I got taped up. You know, I'm pretty beaten up. And
you're doing good work.
It's to even do a radio show right now, like, and that's why it's going to be pretty bare bones. This show, just us talking. Whereas usually I try to throw in extra clips and songs and whatnot. It's like, no, I'm hit record for an hour and then upload it. It's like that's the energy I got right now, right? But it's good to see you guys and actually talk to you. And we haven't even really talked to Peter Galanko yet, and we're already halfway through the show.
And the first sunrise takes place in Antarctica in August. McMurdo Station has the first sunrise around August 18th to August 20th.
I bet you they can't wait just to see a little sun. Speaking
the scientists will be going down to research stations in Antarctica this southern hemisphere spring because when we have our fall, they have their spring.
When's the sun rising in Virginia Beach these days there, Pete?
Oh, I don't know the exact time. It's rising in Virginia Beach right now.
Don't tell me you're sleeping through sunset or sunrises. Come on.
You probably
I sleep when I can. It's good for my health. But anyway, And I just got back to Virginia Beach. I was in Miami this past week, Miami, Florida. It was a hot one out there. It was a hot one out there. There was some rain, mostly just heat, and I don't know. It was I enjoyed being out there in Miami, though. We are much more. I think Virginia Beach is a more relaxed city, but it's not as big of a city as Miami is, because Miami is I don't know. Everybody is I don't know. You know how the big city vibes be, like New York and Miami, places like that. Is
You didn't run into the Golden Girls while you were there, did you?
no, I didn't run into the Gold Girls while I was there. I did go all around different areas of Miami, and it was quite an adventure, to say the least. And Kodak Black dropped a new track while I was in Miami. It gave me a good, authentic Miami experience while being there. So it was, and what else? I don't know. I enjoyed being in Miami, though. It was good.
How have you been feeling,
It's
Pete?
confirmed COVID-19 is on the rise in the stateside.
How have you been feeling lately, Pete? You look good.
Thank you. I've been feeling pretty well. My health has improved significantly this past year, and my CD4 count was above 200 for the first time in the past few years.
Right
just
on.
the other month, and I'm not sure if it was correlated with getting the vaccine, and that may have boosted my immune system. But I've been using other therapeutics as well that has boosted my immune system. So I'm happy to be alive.
That's great, man.
Word up,
Keep
buddy.
that count rising. Yeah, you do. You look good. You're suntan. You're smiling. New haircut.
you.
It's good to have you on, man.
Hey, Joey, COVID's on the rise again in the stateside.
Is it the variant or what's going on?
It's a Delta variant.
So are we ever going to get out of this COVID?
That means New Brunswick government's preparing for the fourth wave in the fall.
Well,
I'm
best
double vaxxed.
best to be prepared. That's for sure.
Double vaxxed, but certainly in the firefighting world right now, it's, there's a lot of us, in and around each other in tight quarters, and it is what it is, right? So not much.
Out here in Virginia Beach, there's plenty of access to the vaccine, and it's like normalcy here. I was just just went out to dinner earlier. It is like already like post-COVID out here, fortunately. And I know there's people should still be cautious, but it's like there's light at the end of the tunnel, though. I think we'll get through this.
They put some new restrictions in the Okanagan because of rises of cases here in British Columbia, and they're asking people from outside the Okanagan to not travel to and from. But in the meantime, there's tens of thousands of people evacuated all over the Okanagan right now, right? So, or under alerts, or I don't know the actual numbers because, like I say, I've only been paying attention to Fire G41269er. But it sounds to me like there is that too. That hotels are full of people who. I've been on the two fires I've been on so far. I've been there for both evacuation orders lifted. And so the one fire, we got to see everyone coming home on buses, and it kind of puts it in perspective, right? In the meantime, one of the guys on our crew, my number 2, Fred, he's from Lytton, and his house burned to the ground, of course. And so when we just, we're talking about what are we going to do for a turnaround? Well, we'll stay up here. Well, some guys want to go home. Some guys want to do this and that. We've got a plan. Don't worry about that. Everyone's going to be in Prince George this weekend, by the way.
There's a new COVID-19 variant from Colombia found in Florida.
Yes.
If you people
a whole
listening,
new variant's not related to Delta. It's a whole new variant altogether.
Oh, great!
Whole new variant altogether.
If you people in Prince George are you listening to CFUR 88.7 FM on Saturday morning, and then you happen to see some firefighters from Tomahawk Fire Crew hanging out in Prince George, that's my crew. Treat them good. do that for them. Because
how much you had mentioned, Joey, that that you guys are going to time out. How long? Like when do you guys time out? What is the length that you're allowed to be out there fighting that fire day in, day out?
generally, we do 14-day turnarounds. If it's an extreme situation, then they could push it to 21. The truth is, after 14 days, everyone needs a couple days of rest because it's just there's only. And I mean, like, I'm a goer. Like, I've been up and down mountains seeking fire. I'm a danger tree assessor too, so I'm always the scout, even though I'm the crew leader. But we've got 2 crews together, so often I leave both crews with the other crew boss, and I'm just off in the bush looking for danger trees, looking for problems, looking for hot spots, looking for places to put our guys safely, putting miles and miles and miles on. So I said to the division supervisor this morning that our guys are wearing out. Like, we've been superhuman on this fire, going, but it's day 13. Like, how much hard work you're going to get out of us today is, we can do the job, but there's not that extra 110% that we've had, say, for the first 10 days, right?
Well, just like anything, you need to recharge your batteries. That's just how it is, no matter what. So how long?
And I got news.
How long is it that you get up for?
I got news for you. Base guys taking August and September off, and Base Guys show will return on Wednesday, October 6th, 2021.
Right on.
There might be some snow here by then.
That's when Base Guys show returns, October 6th.
How is Jack Casey doing, Frankie?
He's doing great. He's taking the time off.
Everybody needs time off.
Well,
he's
it
taking
could
2
very well
months
be.
off, just like Robin Sling. He's taking August and September off, and the Base Guy will return on October 6th.
David Allan Coe even needs a little time off for bad behavior, I do believe is the song.
Yeah, especially him. Yeah, you listen to this Comedeorological report on 95.9 FM in Winnipeg and 88.7 FM in Prince George, airing Saturdays 10 a.m. in Prince George and Mondays at noon in Winnipeg. So thank you to all our listeners in those cities, and glad we can share our insights in the weather and things that are going on with you all. I can't promise next week that I'll be in a camp with internet, right? So, most of the time in my fire seasons, I end up in places where there's just no connection with the outside world, and that's the way it is. So we've been really lucky. This area where Fraser Lake that we're in, when we first got to this fire, everyone's saying, you're going to love camp. There's like, you get your own shower, your own bathroom, and your own room. There's TVs, there's high-speed internet. And I was like, listen, I thought they were joking me, right? I was like, I've been to Fort Fraser and Fraser Lake a lot of times. Like, there's no hotel that's going to give 80 firefighters that. Well, it turns out that we got put into a pipeline camp. Getting to find out how the pipeline workers. Tonight was steak night and chicken wings, so I didn't even eat a vegetable tonight. I just went for the rare steak and chowed into it. But here's me who's talked trash about pipelines for a long time, and for 2 weeks I'll pretend I never said anything about pipelines.
I say this to everyone. Treat yourself.
Yep. No, this is a good camp.
Especially with the work that you're doing, Joey. You're a pretty humble guy when it comes to a lot of it, but not everybody can do what you do. Not just the work, but the amount of hours that you work in a day and how many days in a row you work. That's like, it's nuts, when I worked at the port here, I thought I was some sort of so-and-so when I was up for, I think I did 16-hour shifts for, 3 weeks straight one port season. All I did was just watch them put grain on a boat. I was with the government. All I had to do was just write stuff down. And then after that 3 weeks, I was kind of walking all strutty. I'm like, yep, show the working man. And then here's Joey only. Yeah, I had to go and find some fires and save this guy. Yeah, big deal. I'm just like, yeah, okay.
Our days are definitely not sitting around writing on papers. Yeah, it's
no doubt.
As a danger tree assessor, I have paperwork to do, and as a crew leader, I have paperwork to do. But for the most part, that's not what our day's about at all. And I would be very, very, very bored doing your job. I'll just tell you straight up. Like, hey, I love the pay that you get for being a firefighter, but I love the lifestyle even more. But yeah, there's no guarantee next week that we'll be back at this camp and then we'll have internet and we can run a show. So every new episode we have until fire season ends is just a blessing. and to see familiar faces is really good. Like, it makes me happy to see everyone. And
makes me happy to see you every week, because it means that you survived another week out there. So I mean, that's always good, both mentally and physically.
It's not me you'll have to worry about necessarily, right? So I mean, my job is to keep everyone else safe around me. So that's what comes first. And I'm also one of my other hats I wear is first aid level 3. As a crew leader, I want to make sure everyone's safe and nothing bad happens. But B, I also don't want to have to be that guy to deal with it if something bad happens too, right? So but nothing bad's happened. And like you've seen these movies like Only the Brave, like we attacked the fire directly. It's like, well, just we prefer to say in British Columbia, when in doubt, back out. It's just houses, it's just trees, it's just, I mean, you want to win every battle you can, but we're totally not interested in taking unnecessary risks, right? So we're not fighting the fire directly.
Knowing when to cut your losses, basically.
Yeah, we back.
Like, I mean, being sensible about that sort of thing.
So it's not as heroic as people maybe think. It's, today it was like, I was looking around all these trees that were just trash. And I was like, everybody out, and got the fallers to come in and dump all the trees over, so that, because trees falling down is a huge safety problem in a fire zone. Burnt out roots and stumps, and
I can imagine. Now that I see Brandon back on, we had a nice
hour-long lunch while the faller cleared this work zone for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I see that Brandon's back on. I've been waiting to ask him this.
A lot of people are not there. Ronnie, Gabriel, and Monica are not there, and Trey.
Where are those guys, eh?
Yeah, where's GB at?
I think GB is taking the week off. I believe he's his mouth is tired from too much
break.
Too much rapping.
He's been doing some hard work. I've enjoyed his recent raps.
Oh, I
haven't seen anything. Tell me what's been going on in the world of Gabriel Berardo, the GB, the rapping weatherman in Southern Ontario.
Well, you went on live with him today, Frankie, didn't you?
I did. I went on a live with Gabriel down the boardwalk.
How's he doing?
He's doing great. Gabriel
was on Twitter the other day, stir the pot. It was I got a kick out of it. It was great.
He's got his delivery. His delivery is so unique, and so just spot on. His dramatic pauses, he does those way better than James T. Kirk. I gotta say that right now. the master of dramatic
Houck the question, Joe.
Oh yes, Brandon.
Yeah.
I saw some pictures that some people posted from
COVID-19 in the fall.
Hey Frankie, Joe is trying to ask Brandon a question twice. Give him let Joe ask this question.
Then we'll find out about COVID and stuff like that.
Then we'll come back to Frankie.
I saw somebody post pictures of lenticular clouds. Mm-hmm. That's nothing that we usually see this far west. Can you just kind of describe what a lenticular cloud is, how it forms, why it forms, and why we don't maybe see them this far west in Manitoba? Or east, rather. Sorry.
You need a mountaintop, right? And
you need mountains, a mountain range. They're normally like mountain ranges. So basically, you get the kind of like an upslope, downslope. So kind of where the wind changes up in the mountains, there you get these really cool lenticular clouds. They're really pretty to look at. They don't really do anything, but yeah, that's lenticular clouds. You just need mountain ranges. They like to form right along those mountain ranges, and you just have enough kind of wind shear in the atmosphere to get those things to try to develop. And they typically form usually more in the fall and winter times. Usually see them right along snow patches.
Right? They like
very stable air.
Yes, so sometimes you see.
So if you see those, no thunderstorms.
Yes, you see clouds that are reminiscent of lenticular clouds, but you don't have that hilltop for them to form on to get that classic shape. But you'll sometimes see that kind of soft, even when you're not in the mountains, you might see that. Or I seen that a couple days ago, and it said, well, okay, we're probably clear for thunderstorms today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was going to say
the other direction that there was instability, but looking this one direction that was coming towards us, it was very stable looking.
Yeah, and I only brought it up because number one, I saw those somebody post pictures of them online, and then when I was driving home today, I knew they weren't lenticular clouds, but the clouds that were kind of hanging around the bay, kind of just with the way that the wind was going, like it kind of gave them that almost that almond-like shape. And I was just like, yeah, this is about as closest as I've ever seen, closest I've ever come to seeing a lenticular cloud, even though it's just a bunch of cirrostratus that's hanging out up there.
You may have saw undulating asperatus clouds. Those are pretty cool. Those come pretty close to thunderstorms. Those ones.
Interesting.
They kind of have a bit of a wave underneath them. They're really cool.
Cool.
You were going to say about COVID?
How's COVID going to be this fall coming?
I don't know. What do you think?
There's somebody's predicted the fourth wave, according to the experts. This fall coming. Now people booking COVID-19 vaccines because of the fall variant.
It's a good idea. The more that people aren't vaccinated, the more that this thing's gonna mutate. And
especially Russia, China, Middle East, and Africa.
Yeah.
Especially dictatorship countries, Eastern Hemisphere is different.
It's a lot different than us, hey Frankie.
There's going to be so much mutations in the Eastern Hemisphere.
Well, hopefully they get their act together and stuff like that. Frankie, you had mentioned that the vaccination rate in Egypt and a lot of those countries are like 1% or something. Isn't that what you told me earlier? That's insane. That's crazy.
So people just aren't buying it there, I guess, say. Which is, I think you're right that the fewer vaccinations there are, the more chance for it to actually mutate. I mean, that's the logic. I'm not a doctor on these things, but I mean, even when I had tuberculosis, you finish your entire medical regimen because if you don't take that 10 months of antibiotics, it will mutate and come back, and anybody you give that variant to will be
1.3% first dose vaccinated Nigeria.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not a lot of their, third world countries always seem to get everything way after the first and second world doses do. But Frankie, you had mentioned to me that, what was that, that program that's supposed to give, is that COVAX? Is that what you said? That's COVAX.
And did you hear about that? Russia only has 25% first dose vaccinated so far in Russia.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like lots for a country like Russia.
Republic of Congo only has 3%.
The cases have been too high in Canada, though.
Uganda has Uganda only has 2% first dose.
Well, I know Canada's been stepping it up. Absolutely. Like
usually in Canada, when people were talking about cases, they were talking about Canadian or Labatt Blue.
Though the good
Bolivia
cases
only has 25% first dose.
So we got a long way to go as a global community,
and we all have to stick together. Like this isn't a country by country pandemic. This is a global pandemic, and I think that and I understand that there's distrust when it comes to vaccines and what we're being told and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, those that choose not to get the vaccine because they're worried about microchips and stuff like that, I think they just read too many storybooks, in my humble opinion. People
being cooped up inside, quarantined, people go stir crazy, especially with the economy slowed down and everything, this and that. Like, it's been I commend everybody for maintaining their sanity throughout the pandemic, because it has honestly been I could see why
countries like Afghanistan only has 2.5% first dose.
See, what I don't understand too is that people get into these conspiracy theory ideas, so they start looking for really long shot ideas. It's like, well, the reptilian space people have taken over the government, and I mean, if you look at
Iraq only has 1.8% first dose.
They want to put microchips in you and track you while they're carrying around a cell phone that does that anyways. Willingly, they pay to be tracked. right? But you think about what is the real conspiracy? Well, the real conspiracy is the economic system, right? The
Got a
capitalist.
track phone.
The real conspiracy is the capitalist economic system, right? This is a conspiracy you can read about in the business page every day. It's one that you can learn in business school. So you think about like what's good for business is having most of your workers get sick, potentially die, having a large number of people who are professionals who are trained to do certain things, perhaps go missing from the workforce. Is that good for business? Well, the government's main job is to maintain the economy, like more or less, right? Do I think the government cares about me individually? Not necessarily. But do they want me to get sick and die and then be down one more crew leader on a fire line? No. So, the logic of why we want to get through this pandemic together, no matter what side you look at, you don't have to come up with crazy, bizarre theories to imagine why the government wants to vaccinate you. I mean, look at the business page. They'll tell you right there. COVID's been bad for business. It's that simple.
Yemen has 1%
A few billionaires got
vaccinated
rich.
so far.
That's all. A few billionaires got rich, but
and-
for the most part, it's been bad for business, for society on the whole, right?
Going too far down the rabbit hole sometimes can distract you from what's important in life, whether it's
Absolutely.
family or career or hobby or spending time in nature, do whatever. It's sometimes you just gotta stay grounded and
Yeah, well, nobody said boo when they got their polio shot or boo when they got their smallpox shot, but for whatever reason, I mean, social media is the reason. Like, let's get real. It's just that there's so many echo chambers out there that are telling people that this is fake, it's a hoax, and this, that, and everything else. And a lot of those opinions have turned as the pandemic has got on. Because I mean, initially, like the first week, I remember I thought I was making this big stand when I said, if anybody thinks this is a hoax, they can unfriend me now. And I thought that maybe I'd get, one or two people to wag their fingers at me. And then I couldn't realize the global scale on how many people actually thought that this was nuts and thought that it was a hoax and thought that the vaccine
other country, Chad, it has
like
0.1% vaccinated in Chad.
That's rough. That is rough.
Yeah, people are very afraid right now. I mean, I think the rabbit holes. People like to think I had the truth, right? So I get these people who are calling me a sheeple and tell me things like, "Well, you trust the government," and it's like, well, you obviously don't know how many times I went to jail for activism.
Yeah, I heard that.
20 years later, you're telling me.
Yes. Timbuktu, and now he has how many percent vaccinated? 0.7%.
I'm sitting there saying, where were you when we were fighting the government for trying to cut disability in British Columbia? Where were you when we had the housing struggle and the cops came in and pulled us into jail out of that squat? You're talking to a guy who went to battle against the government, and you're telling me that I'm a sheeple? Get a life.
Those people are busy putting bumper stickers on their big trucks and making YouTube videos with their shades on, and that's what they've been doing while you've been actually doing the hard work and actually actually going through all the government steps, like for activism and things like that. These guys were putting "Don't tread on me" on their bumper stick or on their tailgate and thinking that they were telling everybody what's what.
Yeah, well, there you go, right? I mean, hey, that's a long time ago. I haven't been involved in the activist
Don't
world.
tread on me is sort of
my
like
politics
the theme
haven't
of
changed.
the Virginia flag.
It's just
It's not what it says on our flag, but it's sort of a similar. It says Six Semper Tyrannis or something like that. It's on the Virginia state flag. Same essence.
Well, I think a lot of this, a lot of the buzzwords like liberty and my freedoms and stuff like that. Listen, I don't. I want to be able to go to the bar. I want to be able to go do stuff without having to wear a mask. I want to do all the things I was doing before.
Amen.
And the government is, the governments aren't to be fully trusted. There is no doubt. But if you combine critical thinking with common sense, it should be easy to see, like, hey, the way out of this is to follow the guidelines, take your vaccine, and then we'll be back to doing what we want. And the people that are protesting this and not taking the vaccine because they think the pandemic's a hoax, they're the ones that are making it go longer. I mean, Canada's the same way. Manitoba's the same way. I mean, it was ridiculous. All the freedom rallies that they were having down at the Forks that turned out to be big super spreader events. It's like, it's because of you people that we aren't, I can't watch a Gold Eyes game right now in Winnipeg because of wingnuts like you. It drives me nuts.
In Africa has really, really, really low vaccination rate, like Timbuktu and Mali, in Ethiopia, Chad, Sudan, and all these places.
It's time they got some help. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Uganda, and Kenya, and all these places.
When the government's telling you there's a wall of forest fire coming for your house, you need to leave right now, and you'll be like, I don't trust the government. But this reminds me of a joke Mom told me when I was a kid. And so there was a flood happening, right? And the cops knock on the guy's door to give him an evacuation alert. Said, the flood's coming. Got to get out soon. He says, oh, don't worry. God's going to save me. Right? Well, now the water's creeping up higher. And he's on the second floor. And some rescuers show up in a raft and pound on his window. You got to get out now. And he says, don't worry.
Down in the United States, and I heard.
Hold on, Frankie.
The police will be starting knocking at the people's doors for unvaccinated people down in the States.
So the guy's on the second floor, and the raft comes up, and he says, no, I have faith. God's going to save me. And he won't evacuate, right? So now the flood keeps coming up, and he's on the top of the rotary antenna on the top of his house, hanging on for dear life, and a helicopter flies over and throws down a ladder, and they say, come on, you have to go. And he says, I have faith. God's going to save me. Well, he ends up dying, and he's standing there at the pearly gates, and he's getting reprimanded. He's, but he's kind of taking it hard, too. He says, well, hey, God, I had faith in you. How come
Down
you
in
didn't
the
save
States,
me? Frankie,
down
one
in the
second.
States.
Let me finish my joke. He says, God, how come you didn't come save me? And God says, you idiot. I sent you a cop. I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter.
That's one of my favorite jokes of all time. I use that one during this pandemic. I've used that one tons.
One of these days, the people are saying, police will be knocking at people's doors, telling people the cops will be telling people to get vaccinated in the stateside.
I knew Pete would react that way.
Maybe in certain states, but there's a lot of states. There's United States. Every state has state rights, so I don't know if they're gonna be doing that sort of thing in certain states. But I know there's people in a lot of different states in the United States that would not.
Can you imagine them trying to do that in Texas?
Go on with that.
Go door to door in Texas, telling people to get their vaccination. Yeah, exactly. For better or for worse, that's just how it is in Texas.
Son, police will be going door to door.
Son.
I sell propane and propane accessories. Now you get off my goddamn lawn. That boy ain't right.
Aren't you the boys of the propane in
there? They go to the shooting range and shoot some guns for fun and all that. That have a barbecue.
Well, that's what the tree faller and I were joking about as we were flying in the Huey over the fire zone. I was like, could you imagine if instead of having to go down there and cut all those trees, we just open up these side doors with the M60 and mowed them down? That's how to fight fire. You fight fire with fire.
There's reports Israel people 60 and over getting a third shot of COVID-19 vaccine. People 60 and over in Israel. It's approved there.
Yeah, I heard that. I actually heard that too. That they're going to start giving Pfizer boosters third dose just to be on the safe side. I mean, they have a bunch of them, so why the heck not?
According to the Israeli government.
If they gave me actually, my second shot didn't really bother. I had a bit of a sore arm. That's it. I was prepared for like days of suffering. No.
I took the weekend off work
for days after my second shot. But Tylenol and ibuprofen helped.
Right.
But look at us now, all here to tell the tale.
Do they have vaccinations in Alberta, Brandon?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
People
They're opening everything up, so as of I think August 16th, all restrictions are gone.
Well, didn't
So-
they have like
Alberta's
the
one of the
Calgary
biggest of Canada,
Stampede there,
right?
like a full-on Calgary Stampede?
Yep. 5,000 people showed up for that, and I think about 70 caught the COVID, but they
Calgary Stampede.
Yes.
They should just make it, if you get COVID at the Stampede, you get a special buckle.
The moron buckle.
Well, I know at Nashville North they were testing people, and then if you got tested positive, it was rapid testing for those not vaccinated. And if you got tested positive, you just sent home. You go home.
Go home and die.
Cool.
I was thinking about it. How they actually on the way out they didn't have on the way to Miami. They took my temperature at the airport, and then on the way back here to Virginia Beach, they didn't take my temperature. But if I have a fever, then I have to quarantine for another 10 days, and that would like that is like have to pay like to stay somewhere, and I don't know. It's like I understand the pandemic is a serious issue, but it's just like people gotta live normally too, and that includes taking some risks sometimes. So.
I mean, at the end of the day, why has this actually happened? It's not because of government conspiracies. It's because we have a global community now and global capitalism, and people are flying, traveling, doing business all over the world every day. And it was a matter of time before a pandemic took advantage of that. It was just the optics. Because I went through tuberculosis and spent a fair bit of time under the care of the Center for Disease Control in British Columbia, I had a pretty good idea that this sort of thing was coming.
We weren't ready.
Yeah. And this is the nature of a global world. And remember in the old days when people hardly went more than 5 miles in their lifetime? You didn't have very many global pandemics then, did you? It's like the same answer to climate change is the same answer to the pandemic. We just have to do less, want less, and do less as a species, and find a way to live with less and enjoy the small things more.
It's a tall order, and unfortunately, society seems to learn lessons the hard way as opposed to the easy way. So it sure would be nice if that wasn't the case, but yeah.
I'm tending to do the opposite, do the most. I'll travel all sorts of places and do all sorts of things. But anyway.
Well, I'm not talking that down, but like the sheer amount of trade and travel that goes on now. It's like, of course, I'm going to do the same thing too when I get a chance. I don't fault anyone for that, but the part of you get what I'm saying. Anyways, we've come to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Hey,
and
my link tree is Frankie MacDonald. Hey, Joel, you'll be performing on stage again with the band.
I will be sometime next January. I got some shows booked.
Awesome.
Yep. Been a while since I've performed.
Shaking the rust off.
You can do it.
Shaking the rust off will be fun.
Listen, you Prince George radio listeners, if you see a fire crew called the Tomahawks walking around Prince George this weekend, you do something nice for them. You rub their feet or their hands or their shoulders, and take care of my boys. I'm going to skip out of my crew for 2 days to go see my kids, because I live close to Prince George where none of them do. So I feel a little bit bad about that, but our next turnaround after this will end up in Kamloops, and I won't go home. So it's trade, right? But everyone else, if you see my fire crew out there, you say to them, they're pretty identifiable, a whole bunch of native boys.
That means last year, the other guy, David McKenzie of Halifax, Nova Scotia, worked for the Dartmouth Fire Department.
Nice. Well, friends, that's the end of us.
Salute to the firefighters.
Hopefully we can all talk again next week and keep making radio shows as long as we can. But, fire season's unpredictable and never know where it'll end up. This week I'm south of Vanderhoof on the Kenny Dam and the Cutoff Creek Fire. Maybe next week we're going back there. Maybe we're going to some real hot zone. My crew got perfect scores on our evaluation, so
right on.
Both our crews did. Yeah, we get perfect scores.
Stay safe and hopefully make lots of money.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
I'm guessing they don't pay you enough to do that type of work.
Oh, they do pay me enough, actually.
They do? Good.
Oh yeah,
good.
It's not grunt work; it's grunt work, but it's
good.
Stay safe, Joey. Absolutely.
All right, friends. We'll talk to you next time.